Hello, my name is Trina Chan, and this is my Quarter 3 PBL school project. On the screen right now are the instructions, ingredients, and cost. Before moving on, please pause and take a moment to write these down. So, for this project, the driving question was, using our understanding of science, how can we create an affordable recipe? For this project, we were given multiple scenarios. The scenario I chose was scenario 7, which is where Jalen wants to invite his friend to stay overnight, but his parents are on a limited budget and are worried they won't be able to provide enough food for the both of them. For this scenario, I need to create a snack that Jalen and his friend can enjoy yet still be affordable. The reason as to why we are tasked with creating recipes that are inexpensive is that there are many areas that are considered to be food deserts, or there are many families that are suffering from food insecurities. This means that these areas/families don't have open access to fresh and cheap food. The recipes we are tasked to create are recipes that cater to those areas/families. Of course, when planning out these dishes, there are some areas where I need to cut some losses. An example of this would be when I need to give an alternative for a box of strawberries. This is because strawberries can be rather expensive in food deserts and will most times exceed a set budget. So to make this dish more affordable for everyone, the alternative ingredient was a single kiwi. This is because when placed into consideration, a single kiwi costs less than a box of strawberries. Now then, setting that note aside, let us move into the actual recipe. Assuming that you've already reviewed all the ingredients and have written them down, I will talk about the staple ingredient for this recipe, which is sugar. Sugar is used in many dishes as a balancer, sweetener, or just to complement other flavors. Furthermore, this ingredient also undergoes changes when heated. One of these is that it will caramelize. This contributes to the main part of the dish as well as the flavor. In addition, caramelizing is a chemical change since by melting the sugar is breaking down into glucose, or in other words, a different substance. Chemical changes are basically when one substance undergoes changes and then turns into a different substance. Another portion of this project is that due to the fact that the serving is meant for 2, everything was doubled from the original recipe, which was made for only 1 serving. For example, if the serving size was meant for 1 person, then you would only need 1 slice of bread, whereas here the serving size is for 2 people, so the original amount doubles in order to serve double the amount. In short, if you want to serve just 1 person, cut the amount by half. Now that we have gone through over everything, let us get into the actual cooking part. Here are all the ingredients. First, you need to cut the bread into cubes. Then you need to cut an avocado horizontally and then slice them with thin line strips. My father had to do this for me because the first time I accidentally kind of cut my hand and he got upset, so he didn't let me continue on. But here's him peeling the avocado and then horizontally cutting it. So cutting the bread and cutting the avocados are example of physical changes because only the substance's form is changing, not the actual substance is like changing identities, thus making it a physical change. Here he is placing it in a spiral in the bowl. Same thing with the kiwi. Peel it and then slice horizontally. You can also slice vertically, which is what my father did, but it's probably better to slice horizontally and then place them in a similar spiral to the avocados. Next, I set the heat setting on the stove to medium and then pour the bread cubes into a pan. Here you simply want to toast them, and this is me attempting to flip the pan, but unfortunately failing. Here, this is actually a chemical change because the bread is being burned/toasted, which thus means that certain things are changing, and the substance is also changing. Don't make the mistake I did and spill a piece. Right now, we are making the caramel now, so first you want to do is pour, this is actually where I failed. This is a failed attempt. What I was supposed to do was pour the sugar in first, and then pour the water, and let it sit, but here instead I actually stirred it. I'll explain the chemical changes in the following clip, which is where I do the correct thing. So have fun watching me fail. But to explain what I did wrong here was that I mixed it when I wasn't supposed to mix it. I didn't wait for it to turn golden, which is when you're supposed to add the butter. And I also added too much milk, as you can see in a few seconds. Due to this, it was kind of more creamy and more sweet than it's supposed to be, and when I poured it over the bread, which is the next step, it just kind of melted into it and ruined the toasting effect, and also didn't get that caramel kind of taste that we wanted, as well as texture. So here's me trying to sift it, but here is the revised version. This is me showing you that I am taking 3 tablespoons of sugar, and then those are 2 tablespoons of butter, a cup of milk, a cup of water, and then the alternative toasted bread. Here I'm setting the temperature to low, and then I'm putting the 3 tablespoons of sugar in first, and then the 1 tablespoon of water after. Stir it around just a little bit at the beginning to make sure to get all the sugar in the water, and then do not touch it. Let it sit there and wait until it turns golden, which you will see in a few seconds. This is a chemical change because the water and sugar being mixed together, as well as the butter and milk are kind of separating the particles and then becoming more thicker and more caramelized. This is a chemical change because all the ingredients are not just changing form, they are also changing identity. And chemical changes are basically when the identity of a substance changes, which is being shown here. So after it turns golden brown, you want to pour the butter and then the milk in. I should have spun this while I was talking, my bad. And then after that, you wait a little bit as you mix it. So after you've done that, you mix it, and then you pour the bread into it. And then you kind of just sift it around like how you're toasting it. And then you pour it into the bowls, and then ta-da, you have that. So, moving on now. Now then, since prepping, we will now discuss on how our educational courses tie into our project. Our educational courses are humanities, science, math, and we also had to explain how art tied into it. Science relates to our project by giving us the knowledge to identify the physical and chemical changes occurring in our dish. This way we can be able to explain what is going on as we cook/bake. Due to the fact that you must first understand what you're doing before you create a recipe, science further contributes by helping us look deeper into what kind of changes are occurring in our dish, overall giving us the capability to make a more in-depth and detailed, clear recipe. Humanities relates to our project by explaining why we are making an affordable recipe, as well as this is by giving us scenarios of food desert places. As I explained before, food deserts are areas that don't have much fresh and openly available food for everyone in the area, which thus makes the prices go higher. Because of this, we need to create a recipe that doesn't cost a lot of money, but is still delicious and nutritious. In addition, humanities contributes by helping us construct clear and more technical ways of writing our recipes, which in short is extremely helpful to those following a recipe. So for the math portion, it relates to our project by helping us calculate the amount of ingredients when compared to serving count, as well as what time is best to serve our dish. So to start off, my dish is best served when it's warm and kind of cold. But not exactly cold, so more like warm. And by figuring out the rate of change, which is basically when we just took a bunch of data with a thermometer every 2 minutes, and then we found the intervals of every 5 minutes for the average rate of change, and then we compared it, which is how it helped us figure out when to serve it. And then for the second portion, it helps us figure out how much we need to serve, because if you're serving double the amount of people, you want to double the amount of ingredients. Same for if you want to serve half of the amount of people, then you want to cut the amount of ingredients in half in order to have the correct amount, which was explained in the first portion of the project. Following that, art relates to our project by helping us add or create accents that contribute to our dish/recipe. An example of this in my dish is that the caramel bread cubes lay on top of the sprout, avocado, and kiwi. This brings more attention to them because they are more prominent. In addition, the bread portion shape is larger than the avocado and kiwi portion shape, which shows that shapes were used to pull the person's eyes to focus on the main focus of the dish, which is the bread, and then move on to the smaller portions, which is the avocado and kiwi, which are the accents. Another example is if is if a person cooking it uses strawberries instead of kiwis. Since strawberries are on top, it adds a red accent to the golden brown bread, which then uses color to bring the person's texture to the strawberry for a short moment before moving on to its complementing color, which is the bread's golden tone. Overall, this is my project, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you want to try my recipe, although I'm really bad at explaining.